Hello, book friends. It is Katie with KateyReads, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie. I resell used books and ephemera on multiple platforms, and I talk about that here on this channel. But today, I am interviewing a new friend of mine, Joji Davenport, and he actually sells on Amazon. And if you are an OG or new to my channel, you know I don't talk about Amazon a whole lot on this channel for being a used bookseller. Love-hate relationship with Amazon. You guys have heard me talk about that in a lot of previous videos. But today we're going to talk with Joji because he does his sourcing and his reselling very different than how you hear other Amazon sellers sell. So I will go ahead and make Joji big and let him introduce himself
Whoa,
real
okay, there we
quick.
go. Awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Joji Davenport. I'm actually currently a high school teacher, and over the last few years, I've been able to sell over six figures in revenue on with books on Amazon. I do what's called online book arbitrage. I think a lot of people who sell books on Amazon, they actually go out in the local community, like they go to a library sale or they go to a thrift store and they buy books there and then sell them on Amazon. But like I mentioned, I have a 9 to 5 job. I'm also a husband. I have almost a 2-year-old son, similar age to Katie's son, and I don't really have the time, right, to go to a thrift store, go to a library sale because I have those limitations. So I learned how to actually leverage historical data to make decisions about what books I could buy right now on Amazon that are undervalued. And so while you all are out, or not all of you, while a lot of you are out there buying undervalued books from Goodwill and library sales and then reselling it for what they're worth on Amazon, I'm just going directly to Amazon and buying books that are undervalued. And it's not like most books on Amazon are undervalued, but there's actually over 100 million books listed on Amazon right now, and a few thousand of those books at any one time might be listed for sale significantly below what they historically sell for. So that's when I come in and buy those books and then resell them back on Amazon. So that's kind of just a quick introduction to what I do. I also have a YouTube channel where I teach people how to do that, but I'm excited to get in the interview. Thank you so much, Katie, for bringing me here.
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited too. I'm interested to hear some answers to your question, to the
Awesome.
questions here too. So I ask everybody this: what
Mhm.
kind of started the reselling journey? You have a 9 to 5.
Right.
So maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Why reselling, and then why did you choose books, or did it just kind of fall in your lap? Kind of give us the background story on that.
Awesome. I started reselling books back in 2016. I met, I say met. I saw videos from Steve Rakin on YouTube,
Yeah,
which I'm sure you
yeah,
have as well. One of the
yeah.
OGs in the space. Also, Reezy Resells was big back in that time.
Hmm.
I was
Yeah.
getting my bachelor's degree at the time, and I was in my senior year of college, and learned that, oh wow, it's possible to sell books, but really just anything. It's possible to sell anything on Amazon. I
Hmm.
really missed a huge opportunity being at a college campus for those first 4 years of my bachelor's when I was getting my bachelor's, but later on, I transitioned to getting my in my master's of education degree, getting my master's degree. And so I was on the UC San Diego campus, and that's kind of really, really kicked into gear where I was like, wow, there's all these students, running around this campus. They got really, really expensive books, and you can sell those on Amazon. So it was a little bit of the process of kind of learning how to like make a shipment, send it to Amazon. I had learned that through Steve Rakin's The Green Room. It was a group he doesn't run anymore, but I learned how you could essentially, put a label on the back of a book and ship it to Amazon. And really quickly, over just trial and error and experience, like, wow, a lot of these books can sell for a lot of money. I ended up, realizing that even the campus bookstore would clearance off books, books that would
Hmm.
be selling on Amazon for
Yeah,
75 or $100 that
that's a
they'd
good
be,
tip. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they'd be selling for like 25, $30. And so I was able to pick those up. And back in the day, Amazon even had a gift card trade-in program. So I often remember going into the bookstore, buying a book for like 25 bucks and then reselling it back to Amazon for like a $60 gift card without
Wow.
having to touch anything. So that was kind of my foot in the door. And uh, I basically, my first and second year as a 2-year master's program was there, obviously trying to get my master's degree and learn so that I could become a teacher, but was also spending a lot of the free time that I had just going through the Facebook textbook exchange groups on the college campus on UC San Diego and just picking up multiple books a day. I think I averaged maybe like 7 or 8 books, like textbooks that I'd buy. So not a lot
Wow.
of books, but really expensive books, like really high
Yeah,
average selling price
yeah.
books. And I don't know about you, Katie. Well, no, you do know this. Books are heavy in general, but
Uh,
textbooks are even heavier, right?
Tell me about
And
it.
it's not like I'm parking close to where I'm doing these sort of meetups, right? I'm like
Right.
carrying them all around, and
Oh, yeah.
a lot of my fellow peers are like, "Joji, what are you doing? Why do you have so many books all the time?" back then I was a little bit more self-conscious about what I was doing, but in the end, I was able to graduate without any debt because of just flipping textbooks. And
Wow.
fast forward, I end up getting my teaching credential and end up eventually becoming a teacher, but I was not at the source anymore. I wasn't actually on a college campus. So I still knew that I liked the textbook world because of the fact that it's a little bit, it's less work for what I thought was the same amount of money due to the fact that each individual book title you're selling has a really high average selling price. And
Mhm.
so I had to kind of learn, okay, well, how do I do this without being on a college campus? And that's kind of where I was introduced to online arbitrage through a software called eFlip. That was actually Caleb Ross software. Not
Yeah,
sure if you ever heard of that.
I remember that.
You remember
Yeah.
that? So I dabbled in that a little bit and found that I had some success. I learned a little bit about seasonality, realized that, oh, hey, the time where college textbooks sell the best is right when kids go back to college. That's like August,
Mhm.
September, and also the January, semester. So I learned a little bit about seasonality there. And later on, fast forward a couple years, I kind of took a little bit of a chill pill. Was still selling books on Amazon. I was picking books up locally still, but uh, really got into heavy sourcing using Keepa. And I know that you're somewhat familiar with Keepa, like you've definitely heard of it.
Mhm.
I know you don't make too many of your decisions based upon historical data from Keepa, but Keepa has a few different sourcing strategies that come with their subscription, particularly Keepa deals, Keepa product finder, and Keepa alerts. Those are all amazing ways that you could find books on Amazon that are undervalued that you could buy and then resell for a profit. So over the next 3 or 4 years, I just learned, I honed that skill, made tons of mistakes, learned from those mistakes, and then
Mhm.
started to recognize certain patterns with books that were undervalued, books that you could buy below what their true worth was and then resell them for what their worth was. So that's a really long-winded way to get to where I'm at, but that's how it started.
Yeah. And so books are just kind of like I don't want to say low hanging fruit, but no barrier to entry, right?
Right.
I mean, overall, I mean, back when I started in 2019, now I find myself needing to get auto ungated in different
Mhm.
publishers, and that's new.
Yep.
But 5 years ago, it wasn't really like that. So essentially, you're doing Amazon to Amazon flips.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Amazon
Okay.
and Amazon flips. Mhm.
So would you ever search, or is it just because, and I'll let you kind of segue into a software that you may or may
Oh,
not
sure.
be a part of,
Cool.
but would you ever consider like going on other platforms like Macari, eBay, Pango Books, and sourcing there,
Mhm.
or even joining Whatnot strictly to source? Like,
Right.
what would you ever consider that, or is it, the software is the reason that you choose Amazon?
Right.
um,
Yeah, the reason why Amazon, I think, is ultimately the best place is that it's the largest marketplace by far. Like, it's not even close. There's, like, over 100 million books listed on Amazon at any one time, and most of those other websites have, I wouldn't say necessarily a fraction, but a significantly less, number of listings, but then also significantly less traffic. So you have a place that has way more listings, way more traffic, and that just means, there's a way more opportunities for books to become undervalued just due to the fact that there's, massive volume of books that are listed on Amazon. And I do a little bit of eBay to Amazon flipping as well. Oftentimes, when we do find a book on Amazon that's undervalued, you have some of the sellers who are listed on Amazon who cross list other platforms, like you mentioned. And so oftentimes, they'll have different sort of pricing strategies for each platform based upon the fee structures. And so they might have this book listed on Amazon for $15 and it might be on eBay for 13.80. So there might be a little bit that you could save there. But there's arbitrage opportunities everywhere. Like, I've flipped books from Facebook Marketplace to Amazon. I flipped books from Mercari to Amazon. I mean, Craigslist, OfferUp. I mean, even Pingo Books. I'm not too familiar with that, but I'm sure that there's some sort of opportunity. It really just comes down to, like, where are you going to channel most of your energy? Like, where are you going to find most success at? And like, you could find a little, pockets of success here and there, but Amazon by far was the place where I've been able to find the most success. The other thing about Amazon that I really appreciate as well is that you are buying directly on Amazon's website. So even though you're not buying the books directly from Amazon, so I should say that the books I'm buying and flipping are in used condition. They're not new books. So I'm not buying them from Amazon, the company, right? I'm buying them
Mhm,
from third party sellers like Katie, for example,
mhm,
who is
right,
selling them in used condition on Amazon. And
right.
what that allows is, like, let's say you ever do get, let's say, like, a counterfeit claim. You have at least Well, it's not like you have an invoice. It's kind of like, well, I purchased this from your website,
Right.
with full trust in your platform that you are not selling counterfeit books. So why are you coming after me for buying a book on your website? So it offers a little bit more protection than if you were just buying it from eBay or locally or somewhere else than that. It's not, again, an
That makes
actual real
sense.
invoice, but it's a little bit more safe than that. Going into the software that, my good friend Victor Gallegos and I built, we built a software called BookMine, and the idea is we want to take these very intricate, very skill-based Keepa sourcing techniques and give people books that have a very high likelihood of being profitable. And the way that I kind of explain it to everyone is, out of the 100 million books on Amazon, what we do is we only look at a small subsection of them. We only look at, approximately 300,000 of those 100 million books, because right now on Amazon is about
Mm.
300,000 books that sell, I would say, say I can't give you the exact metrics, but they sell a decent number of times in a month and also have a used value on average over the last 6 months of at least like $40 or more. So
Right.
what we do is we basically cut out all the fluff. So we cut off all the books that don't have a high average selling price or don't actually sell very
Yeah, that
frequently.
makes sense.
Right, because
Yeah.
those are not books you wanna look at, right? We're
Right,
trying to
right,
essentially reduce the amount of sourcing time it takes you to find good books, and then from those, like, 300,000 books, what we'll do is we'll leverage historical selling data using Keepa to figure out, is today's current price significantly below what the 180-day use price or 90-day use price has been in the past? So, for example, like, a
okay.
book that you would wanna buy, Katie, would be like, a book about, I don't know, any random book that over the last 180 days has been selling for $50 or more. And then for whatever
Mhm.
reason, today on Amazon, it's 15 bucks. And so the point is, you as an online arbitrage flipper could say, "Hey, this book over the last 6 months has been selling for $55." And then all of a sudden, just today, actually 20 minutes ago, it's now 14.99 from KateyReads. Like, what the heck's going on? Let's go buy that
You got
book.
a bad
And then
repricer.
yeah, I know, right? Go buy that book and resell it at 55, and you might go,
Okay,
"Wow,
okay.
Joji, is that possible? How can a book that normally sells for 55 be listed for 15?" It actually happens all the time. I mean, you have new sellers who have no idea what Keepa is. They
Mhm.
have no idea how to list things. Like, "I just wanna sell something. Let me just list it for $15." You also have really big, booksellers like Goodwill Books and Thrift Books who have really
Yeah,
aggressive repricers that they don't really care what they sell the book for. They just need
they're the
they're
penny
more interested in
sellers
getting rid
anyway.
of. Right,
Yeah,
they wanna get rid of inventory, so they might have their reprices really tank the price of a book over a one-week period and bring it from $50 down to $12, and that offers an opportunity. You have plenty of people who accidentally just input the wrong price. They meant to put $99 and they put $9.99, right? That book is gonna be gone within minutes because somebody who's
right.
using BookMine or someone who's using Keepa realizes that that book is mispriced. So there's tons of opportunities. Like I said, there's thousands of books on Amazon at any given time that are below their market value that you can buy and resell on Amazon. It's just how do you find them? And so that's what BookMine tries to do, is we try to get you as close as we can to actually purchasing the book for you, but you have to do the last kind of step of the legwork, because what we can do is show you books that have all these features that predict that the book is likely to be profitable, but we can't actually 100% say without a human looking at it that it is going to be a profitable book. So that's kind of
Oh,
the
of
what
course.
BookMine does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's no different than using Scout IQ or,
Right.
whatever the other one, Book Scout or what, I don't know what the other one's called.
Yep.
So I have a few questions, and I knew
Sure.
that would come once you kind of explain BookMine and what that
Right.
is. So when I think about times
Right.
that I have purchased from Amazon, overall it's been fine, but every now and then you get a book that, it's a stock photo, right? At the end of the day, they're stock photo purchases.
Right.
So there's times where you get a book that doesn't have a dust jacket, or it's ex-library and they didn't put that in the condition notes.
Right.
Or it's way more beat up than like a normal acceptable book would be.
Right.
So, kind of express the pain points with
Okay.
OA and how you mitigate that or try to prevent it.
Really good question. A lot of people always ask this: how do I buy acceptable books? Do you buy from this seller? How do you buy ex library books like you mentioned? Do you buy books with water damage? Really good question. So trying to mitigate this, right? Trying to be preventative is always the best course of action. So what I personally do is I try to buy from sellers that actually have pretty high feedback rating. For example, I
Mhm.
would much rather buy from someone with a feedback rating of 95% or higher than someone with a feedback rating of 79%. Because clearly on Amazon, if you have a 95 plus percent feedback rating, you're probably most of the time like, actually advertising your book in the correct condition and customers are happy with the book that they're buying. Acceptable condition copies are certain sellers like Goodwills are notorious for listing a lot of their books that they sell in acceptable condition, and oftentimes they kind of under promise over deliver. So you'll
Mhm.
buy books in acceptable condition and they'll come in good condition, and that is seen in them having like a 99% feedback rating with 300,000 reviews, right?
Mhm.
Then there's some sellers who are like, "Oh, this is like new condition," and then like, why do they have 66% feedback?" And you look at their feedback, and it goes, "This is not advertised in the correct condition. I bought a book in new condition and received a book that is highlighting all over it," right? So that's
Mhm.
one way that you can be preventive. Another way is you can actually look in the listing description. Most of the time, sellers are going to try to at least attempt to accurately describe their book. So they should say it's an ex library copy, or they should say it's got coffee stains on it, or it's got water damage, and any sort of thing like water damage or coffee stains, rips or tears, like or a binding that's loose. That's like a hard pass for me. Now, the other part of this is I don't actually physically touch any of the books. I have a prep center. And so if you're
Mhm.
kind of like, "Whoa, what the heck is a prep center?" Essentially, it's the intermediary between me and Amazon. So essentially, most people who do online book arbitrage would buy the book and ship it to their house, and then they would
Mhm.
open the package and they'd go, "Okay, yeah, this is in good condition. It came from the seller." Then they would go ahead and use a listing software like, AccelerList, GoToLister, Inventory Lab, or Amazon Seller Central, put a label on it, put it in a box, and ship it to Amazon. All of that is actually done from a third-party prep center. And so I pay $2.25 per book for a third-party prep center. I use Central Virginia Prep for them to actually open the package, confirm that this is the book that was supposed to be received, make sure it's the right,
Oh, okay.
it's the right cover art, it's the right format type. I bought a paperback. This is a paperback. They flipped through the pages very briefly. There's no coffee stains, there's no water damage. And they will go ahead and list the condition of the book. They're the ones actually physically touching it. And so they'll say
Okay.
unmarked copy, clean pages, tight binding, just very general. And then also something like, it's an extra library book. So they'll be the ones that go ahead and grade the book and then they ship it off to Amazon. So the only thing that I really have in my control is making sure that I'm not sending them books that are likely to be bad condition books. So
Right.
that just means I'm buying books generally in good condition, like from reputable
On
sellers with high
paper, it
feedback.
it
Right.
looks good. Right.
And of course, it's like sometimes you'll buy a very good copy from someone with high feedback rating, and you'll get a book that really is just not in very good condition. And
Mhm.
it's as simple as just going, "Okay, well, this was not described as I didn't receive it as it was described." And you just have your prep center, essentially ship it back and, get a return. You just return it, right? And so you should have them
Right.
ship it back for
Right.
you.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. And I mean, you kind of already answered the next question I was going to ask about, using a prep center or not, using a listing service.
Right.
And then do you have repricer that's separate, or does the prepping center kind of come with a repricer? Like, how are they like your logistics behind the scenes?
Right. Really good question. Okay, so all the only job the prep center has is to get the inventory to Amazon's warehouse. So that's the only thing that they're used for in that piece of the
Okay. So
puzzle.
they're your
Right.
listers. Yeah.
So, well, I guess I should okay, maybe I should go back. So they actually list the book, but then ship it also to Amazon.
Yeah.
Beyond that, everything else beyond that are things that I would have to do my own. So I do use a repricer called Be Cool, and I
Okay.
have a few videos on my YouTube channel showing you how to showing you the parameters I use. By no means do you have to use Be Cool. I really enjoy using Be Cool. I found great results with it. But there are other repricers. There's even a free Amazon repricer. So in the beginning, I usually just tell people, hey, try to keep costs low. Try to just use Amazon's free repricer. But yeah, I do use a repricer so that I'm not having to go in and change the price manually of every book because that just takes so much time. Instead, what I'll do
Mhm.
is again leverage historical selling data and try to figure out, well, what seems to be a good median selling price? Like what is the
Right.
intrinsic value of the book? And then build a minimum and a maximum price around that. So if we can go back in the last 6 months and go, okay, this book roughly sells for between $45 and $60, like depending on how many sellers are on the listing and probably depending on the
Right.
condition.
Right. Right.
So I might, if I bought it for $12, I might say, well, I'm going to set the min price at 45 and I'll set the max price at 65. Because to me, it doesn't necessarily matter exactly where I sell the book at because regardless of where I set the min and max price, wherever in that range the book sells, I'm going to be profitable. So for me, it's all about how could I just set a very wide net that encompasses that intrinsic value so that I can just do what I'm best at, which is buying more undervalued books. And if it sells for 45, great, I made $17 profit. It sells for 65, great, I made $29 profit. But the point is, try to do the tasks in your business that make you the most money. And for me, it's not prepping books, it's not listing books, it's not repricing. The thing that makes me the most money is the pattern recognition, right? Finding the books that are actually undervalued, buying those, and then having the prep center ship them to Amazon's warehouse.
Okay.
Yeah. Is
So
it
with
okay? Is it, by the way, is it okay if I just briefly show you a book mine just to show you
yeah,
like what I mean by that? Okay,
yeah,
so I'm gonna present
yeah.
my screen.
As you're doing that, I'm going to ask my next question.
Okay, go for it.
Because maybe you could show it through Bookmine and what that
Okay.
looks like. Because I assume there's some type of triggers or settings with Bookmine because you're factoring in a lot of cost of goods, right? Your FBA,
Right.
the shipment to the prep center, your repricer, then the
Right.
cost of the actual book, whatever it is. And then you want to have some meat on the bone of a profit after that. So a $12 book plus, let's say you have another 10-ish miscellaneous expenses that might come with that book. So it's
Right.
really a $22 book. Where would you want to be at with profit with that type of book?
Yeah, good question. Generally, what we tell like our bookmine users is 50% profit is probably kind of the lowest you should be looking at.
Oh,
Um,
I got to add it. My bad.
yeah,
Sorry.
no, you're good.
There we
Right
go.
around no, you're right around 50% profit is kind of like the
Okay.
lowest is, and not that 50% is a bad ROI. Actually, in traditional online arbitrage, a 50% profit is actually amazing. Like
Yeah,
it's a
that's
really good
amazing. Yeah.
ROI. With books, it just is that I think there's a lot less competition selling
Okay.
books, and there's just
Hmm.
way more books that the ROI potential on books is it can be extremely higher than that. So it's more of us saying you guys should be picky because there's so many great deals. Like it's almost like if you go fishing, like don't just pull out the first fish you catch because there's a bunch of big fish there. Like if you
Right.
catch the first fish, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's 6 inches, that's a solid fish, but there's a bunch of like 8 and 10 and 12 inch fish in
Yeah.
there. So why
Yeah.
not throw that one back and go catch the 10 or 12 inch? So that's kind of what we're saying here. Now again, I'm
Okay.
not sure how familiar you are with Keepa, but it did like, for example, Katie, like, do you look at Keepa graphs, like, somewhat often? Are you familiar with them?
I'm
But
aware of Keepa. It was explained to me over and over again, kind of like a heartbeat.
yeah.
So every time there's a dip, a sale was made,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Every
Okay.
time this is this green line called the sales rank. It's a number that it's a metric Amazon uses to gauge the popularity of that book relative to other books in the category. And so every time you do see that large one-time drop, it means you can think of it as a sell. So if I just like hide this other stuff here and we just look at the sales rank, essentially
Hmm.
at this day we had a sales rank of 1.1 million. And then the next day the sales rank went down to
Wow.
226,000.
Boom.
So what that
Yeah.
tells us is that it became significantly more popular relative to other books in that category, and so we say, "Oh, well, it must have sold." So yeah, like heartbeats. These are all heartbeats, which would you would say are like book sales. Like if you go to eBay, these are like sold comps. Like, oh, okay, these are
Hmm.
all sold comps. But the next question is, well, what did the book sell for? And that's what I mean about identifying intrinsic value. So if you let's say click the use price, this black line shows us the lowest used price or the lowest listed price of that book at any point in time. In this case, we're looking at the last year. And what I could use is my cursor and just go left to right and go, oh, wow. This book has generally been listed for, 38 to $39
Oh,
pretty
okay.
consistently the
Okay.
whole year. So what I can say is, okay, well, if the cheapest you could have bought this Bible for was $38 the whole year, and there's these heartbeats, these sales rank drops, that tells me, oh, the book must be selling for at least $39. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Uh-huh. Yep.
And obviously, this is a book that Amazon's on the listing, so I'm adding another metric, which is this yellow line. And what we're now seeing is that Amazon is also kind of serving as the cap on how high that used price can get because Amazon themselves
Yeah.
is selling it brand new for $42, except for this one point in time where they went to 59.99 for whatever reason, right?
Hmm.
The point I'm trying
Hmm.
to show you here, though, is if you look at this used price of this book, you can see how the whole year, if anyone were to buy this in used condition, they're spending at least $38. You can see that since this, second half of May, you can actually see that the price has started to decrease. Went down to 32, down to 20, down to 15, down to 13. And so this is like kind of a book that book might show you is like, hey, this book normally sells for 38 bucks, but right now you can buy it for like 17 bucks. Like that's a
Oh,
difference
wow.
in
Okay.
price between what it normally sells for versus what you could actually find it for on Amazon. And so then you could go to the Amazon page and do a little bit more research and figure out, okay, well, why did the price of this book get so low all of a sudden? And you can kind of do a little bit more research and go, okay, so it looks like, oh, there's two copies, right? It looks like there's two people who are probably in a repricing war. They have aggressive repricers and their minimum price might be $13. And so we have two copies from Books FYI, one copy from All Time Books, and then you can see
Mhm.
it goes up to $26 and then goes back up to 42. So those are
Okay.
sort of books that Bookmine is trying to show you with these keepographs. And what I mean by pattern recognition is over time you'll start to see these books that are well below their market value just by looking at the keepograph. And those are books that you can open up and go, okay, there's potential with this book. So, anyways, just wanted to share that little thing with you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. And yeah, that kind of helps make a little bit more sense with Keepa, because why it was it kind of explained to me as a heartbeat is like also you should never just see like a flatlined book either, because that
Right.
means it's just not selling
Right.
consistently, it's not selling well, it's not a good
Absolutely.
book to be sourcing.
Yeah, it's a
So
great way to think about it. Absolutely.
all right, cool. Cool. All right. Well, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it
And I
is.
feel like I got a little free lesson here.
Absolutely.
So I
Anytime.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And guys, make sure I'm gonna take a quick break here and just
Yeah,
say make sure to check out the description of this video. I'll have links, I'll have info about BookMine, about Joji, all the things.
cool.
And we'll actually have some info about something that I'm going to bring up here in just a minute as well, with their exciting Vegas event
Yep, yep,
in
and beyond.
September. I'll let him kind of give his elevator speech about that. Unfortunately, I will not be in attendance
Yeah.
as of right now to the event. But guys, I just have to say this event, I'm going to talk about it real quick and then I'll let Joji do it.
Okay. Go for it.
This event, the reason that I want to promote it a little bit on this channel and talk about it, you guys, if you know my channel, you know I only promote and talk about stuff that either I use or I fully support. And that's why I talk about Max and Cody with Paper Gold. And that's why I talk about, Pango Books and whatnot and other platforms that I've tried, and some have worked out, some haven't. You guys have seen that. And I've been transparent with it. But the reason that this conference is one that, Steve and Romer have done many conferences. It's really fun. Everybody gets value. It's a really, really good event. But this one for me is really, really fun because it's inclusive. It is everybody that is a bookseller, not just Amazon. And I think that's kind of been the missing piece for a really long time in the book community, is having an event that is for everybody. And guys, I mean, Mel back from Burnout is going to be there. My friend Max, I've interviewed him and Cody on this channel. You guys have seen that video. Steve, Romer, Joji, his partner Victor are going to be there. And then we're going to have Phil. And if you guys saw that video that I did with Phil, the book peddler, I mean, he's a bookstore owner.
Yep.
And that's so unique all on its own. Bookstores are, I don't want to say a dying thing, but it's hard. Brick and mortar is hard. It's very
Yep.
hard work. And he's got 2 locations.
Yeah.
So that's just so exciting to have a really diverse lineup and have it just be really inclusive with a lot of different people that are doing a lot of different things. And I know there's a lot more speakers as well, but
Yep.
those ones I think right there are just like the seller for sure. So you guys, I will have some link information in the description of this video as well for this conference. But I've done my part with selling it, so I'll let
Yeah. Thank you so much.
really the only reason is just like lifestyle, family stuff. It's a little tricky for me to do long
Yep.
travel like that, but
Yep.
I do look forward to it. And I think it's going to be very successful this year. And I, will plan and look forward to going, hopefully to another one next year. But I'll let
Cool,
Joji
cool.
give his little speech about it as
Absolutely.
well.
You did such a great job of talking about it. And you mind if I share my screen again? I have it
Yeah,
up there and you can visit.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, the whole point is we wanted, like you mentioned, to bring back everyone who's in the book selling community together. And this is something it's really just to allow people to network better and to open your eyes about the possibility. So the goal was, could we have one event that brings together all the different types of book selling? So that would be obviously Amazon book
Mhm.
selling. So that would be, online book arbitrage, which is what I do. That'd be like thrifting and library sales. But then it would also be bulk book selling on Amazon. But we also want eBay selling. So we have, Mel back from Burnout. So she's flying all the way from Australia to be here, which is really
Yeah.
exciting. So
So
she's gonna talk about
awesome.
eBay book selling. We tried so hard to get Katie there because
Yeah.
Katie would be a huge value add. But
Yes,
again,
I appreciate
completely
it.
understand. Completely understand. You know, but anyways, we just want to let you all know that we tried really hard to get Katie there. So we're hoping next year she'll come.
Yes,
So
yeah.
we've got eBay book selling. We also wanted to have, like you said, Phil the book peddler, who actually has a
Mhm.
physical storefront. So the idea is we just wanted to bring people from different backgrounds, both women and men, who are in the book selling business that are actually are very successful, so that they can share their insight with anyone who decides to come.
Mhm.
So you can go to our website. It's just called booksandbeyondcon.com, and
Okay.
you can see we've got a lot of awesome speakers. So again, there's the book peddler, there's Phil. We've got Vishal, who's a bookseller. We have Diane Mashburn. Do you know who Diane is? I think
Mm-mm.
Oh, you
Nope.
don't? So Diane Mashburn. So Diane, she's like an encyclopedia for Amazon knowledge, and she's in all
Oh,
the Facebook
wow.
groups, answering all the questions people have about book selling. So obviously Diane's going to be there. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Shannon Mann is actually the owner of my prep center, Central Virginia Prep.
Oh, okay,
Okay, so
cool.
we've
Very
got
cool.
Amanda as well. She does a little bit more eBay to Amazon now, but she
Yeah,
started kind of in the
okay.
book business. So we wanted, we've got
Oh,
good old,
Jameson!
yeah, we got Jameson coming. He's got a really inspiring story for a
I
lot of
I have
people.
to give Max a hard time. He's using his, Brad Pitt, photo for the for
It,
his mugshot. He said when he was a teacher, everybody would call him Brad Pitt, and they
uh,
even made a little label, a name tag label for him. So I have
that,
to give Max a hard time. I'm sure he'll see this.
yeah, that's awesome. So we'll have Max there. We'll
And
have Bill
Max does
Martin.
a lot of vintage, collectible,
Right.
antiquarian, leather bound. Like, so you do have a really good variety of different types of booksellers. I like it because it's not a one size fits all. You have to do it this one streamlined way.
Absolutely. And that's the goal, is we wanted just to bring together everyone who's in the book selling space to show how eclectic it is, how diverse it is, and
Yeah.
celebrate those with each
Mhm.
other. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Bill Marlink, but he's from Sell Back Your Book, which I'm sure
Oh
you,
yeah, Bill. Yeah,
yeah, sure,
awesome, awesome.
sure you,
I send you a lot of books, Bill.
yeah, yeah. So Bill will be there. We have John Mascarella, who is also a bulk bookseller. He used to be a
Yeah,
bulk
yeah.
bookseller,
I'm
so
familiar with
yeah.
John. Yep, yep.
And then
Very cool.
recently, Reezy Resell said that he would be coming, which was
Okay.
really awesome. And recently, we also have FBA Dave, who has an Instagram account, who says be coming.
Yes,
So we're
Dave.
trying to
Yeah.
bring and we're trying to bring anyone who's in the space who's successful. Again, we're trying to make sure that we have everyone from every background: online arbitrage, book selling, library, thrift store, eBay
Mhm.
selling, um, and then also, again, we do want to, as best we can, have an even mixture, right? It'd be ideal to have 50% men, 50% women speakers. It is a little bit more difficult because they're just more men who kind of make content and are kind of more public and out there. But it's
Yeah,
really
tell me
why we
about
also
it.
want to make sure we bring in the women because there's a significant portion of women who are selling
Mhm.
books on Amazon.
Yeah,
Often they're a little bit more behind the scenes, and there's probably a variety of reasons for that. But we want to make sure that we can bring them if they're willing to come. So that's why,
nice, nice.
um, yeah. So that's kind of,
Yeah, no, I appreciate the conscious,
right,
thought and effort to having, inclusion with different types of platforms to sell on, diversity, all the things. I really do appreciate that. I think that's important in the reselling community space anyways.
right.
So yeah, that's really, really cool. So guys, again, I'll reiterate, I'm going to have links in the description of this video of
Awesome.
a bunch of different stuff. I'll let Joji just kind of give me his long list of whatever he would like shared, and we will
Right.
do that. But I think
Awesome.
that there's just going to be so much value. And then who doesn't love Vegas, right?
Exactly,
Um,
exactly. And also that was a
so
conscious decision. We picked Vegas because we knew it'd be the cheapest. We knew booksellers tend to be on the more frugal side, right?
yeah,
Than
yeah,
all the other flashy parts of Amazon and eBay. So we decided to try to pick the cheapest
yeah,
location. So obviously it's kind of subsidized by gambling. So we're obviously saying, don't, even though some people like to go to gamble, try not to gamble. Just we're trying to get you all there at the cheapest possible price.
yeah.
So that's
And I
why.
mean, there's Vegas is great for other entertainment. Like there's a
Absolutely.
lot of, if you're into nature, there's a lot of national parks and hiking and different things to do. And
Awesome.
yeah. So it could be a really fun trip. So yeah, I thank you so much for talking about that. And guys, again, you know me, I'm only going to promote stuff that I really truly feel is going to be value for you guys.
Appreciate
And
that.
this definitely would be it. And I know that's weird to say considering that I won't be in attendance, but it's really just kind of like lifestyle stuff. But um I'm really excited for next year. I am going to plan for next year.
Yes.
And I think it will just be so this will just strictly be in person. There's no like recording that could be purchased after the fact or
There,
anything
there,
like that.
we do have an option for recording. So at the end of so once we're all done, so we will have people there filming all of the talks that all of the
Okay.
speakers have, and
Okay.
then we will have that option at the end when the conference is over. Obviously, you wouldn't have that like in person experience, which in many ways is kind of the most valuable part. Like
Yeah, the
if Katie
network.
were
I mean,
there,
yeah.
yeah, if Katie were there, like imagine like if you're a fan of Katie and you like want to go up and talk to her, like
Yeah.
that's the value, right?
Yeah.
I
Reselling
mean,
media is
I'm not
awesome.
obviously the talks that people give are gonna be valuable, and that will be an option if you wanna buy it afterwards,
Okay.
um, but I'm just
Just in case
excited.
anyone's, kind of
Yeah,
like me, it is the start to the school year. So I know I have a lot of, moms like me that watch this channel and,
right,
or retirees and stuff like that. So I just wanted to put that out there as well in case that is an option, in case they do want to see, the information that's discussed, if there would be anything out there like that as well.
absolutely, and you made me super excited to say that you might even plan for next year because this is something that
Yeah, yeah.
we wanna do for many years in the
I
future. We wanna
Yeah, I think it could definitely be an annual thing, especially just with I think the key that's going to make it so valuable again is just the fact that you're bringing a lot of different people from the book community space.
right,
And you could even expand upon, talking about things, having different breakout sessions of, how
right,
if you want to get into the YouTube scene, if you're a bookseller and you want to understand social media better. I mean, Max will be the first one to tell you he hates social media. He doesn't get the technology. And, so maybe that would be valuable to certain people that attend. So, yeah, tons of potential to have it be an annual thing. And I think it would be really, really fun.
awesome,
So really, really proud of you guys. And again,
thank
I
you,
appreciate the conscious effort of like making it more inclusive, diverse, all of that.
absolutely,
Really cool. So my next question that I wanted to kind of talk, I did kind of talk about it a little bit just now with YouTube.
right,
We all kind of figure out our community, our space. For me, when I first started selling books, I was watching YouTubers, right?
right,
That's what kind of got me into that. I didn't even start my YouTube channel until 2021. So I'm only, a few years into it with YouTube. And essentially, the only reason I started my YouTube channel is because I couldn't find people talking about selling books on eBay. So I did what Reezy suggests, make content for stuff you can't find that you have questions about. And so I kind of just took his advice and created my channel based around that. And I talk about other things, and it's grown and changed and evolved since then. But that's always been my goal with
right,
my channel. And then I found community and space and book people that are like me, even just readers, people that
yep.
just like books. So tell us why YouTube for you, and like where do you see YouTube going, and what type of you know I guess marker do you want to leave in the space with the interwebs?
Yeah, I love this question. Really, the reason was a selfish reason for me, and that was I felt like in my day to day life, no one really understood what I was doing, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, I can't be crazy, right? Like, I can't find so much joy and excitement in doing this, and not really be appreciated, or not really have other people around me who feel the same way." So I did it out of a selfish reason, which is to find other people like me, and to
Hmm.
said, "Okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. I'm gonna see." Are there other people out there who like selling books on Amazon, who have this entrepreneurial spirit, who get as excited about me, reading a keepograph? And to my surprise, somehow out of the 7 billion population, there are people out there who are like that. And YouTube is an amazing way to connect the dots and to connect people, right?
Hmm.
I think it'd be so cool, Katie, if we could, yeah, if we could have a map of the world and have dots where all the locations where people come
Yeah.
from, and just to see really how there are people out there for everyone, right? It's just how do you find them? And YouTube
Hmm.
was the means for me to do that. So it definitely birthed out of a selfish reason for that. I will say that it has led to so many more opportunities. It's given me more motivation to want to be successful because
Yeah.
people come to my YouTube channel and they say, "Wow, he's got a 9 to 5 job. He's doing this." And it gives me a little bit, it gives me like a, I don't, is it a, what is it called? Tailwind or headwind? I forget which
Hmm.
one it is, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
gives me yeah, it gives me some motivation to wanna be better and to wanna help people, right?
A
I'm
push, yeah.
also a high school teacher, and I love teaching, and it was also a means for me to kind of fill a part of the void of teaching, which is I think, unfortunately, a lot of our students aren't, you know, super motivated these days to learn,
Mhm.
that's a huge generalization. There's plenty of students who are very motivated and wanna be there to learn, but there's also, I think, a lot of a lot of students who may not really appreciate the education, and they might not necessarily
Or
always
just
be
aren't excited about chemistry,
yeah,
you know
or
what I
they're just
mean?
not excited about
In
chemistry.
choir, they're a totally different student than how
Yeah,
they are in chem class, you know? I mean, you
absolutely.
never know. You never know.
Absolutely, and so for me, it was a way to fill that gap of I wanna teach people who wanna learn, right?
Yeah.
And I found
Mhm.
that what I love about YouTube is no one's gonna come to your channel unless they wanna be there, right? All my students are gonna be there in my classroom because they have to be there regardless of
Yeah,
what they wanna be there,
sure.
and I think a lot of them do wanna be there, but regardless of the fact, they have to be there. But my YouTube channel, people only come if they wanna come,
Mhm.
and that means that it means that they're ready to learn, that they're willing to learn, and that I'm better able to help them because I can be more engaged with them, and I do think that one of my characteristics, one of my best skills is being able to educate and teach people something, and I find a lot of enjoyment in that, and so YouTube is the most selfish way for me to experience, the joy I get from teaching other people. So that's kind of my response for why I started YouTube and why I continue and want to do it long term. I just find a lot of happiness and joy in doing it.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that's a really good point because you know what type of audience you want,
Right.
and you're willing to organically gain that audience. I'm 3 years in on YouTube and blessed with over 47-ish hundred people
Awesome. Awesome.
watching me. And could I be at 15, 20, 25K if I just did garage sale videos all the time and thrifting and look what I found and da da da? But that's not the value. That's not the marker that I want to leave. It's
Right.
just not me. I would get so burnt out. I would feel like such an imposter. Like imposter syndrome is just a thing anyways, but
Yep.
I would feel just so like surface level, and that's just not me. Like I am such a neurodivergent person anyways. Like
Uh-huh.
I don't want small talk. I want to know if you like UFOs. Like
Right.
you know what I mean? I want to have those deep dive discussions, and that's why I think I love making research videos and doing the things that I do on my channel. And I think that's why those videos do better for me, is because people can see that I'm passionate and happy about what I'm making the video about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a video, it's content, but people can tell if you're into it or not. They just
Absolutely.
can. So
Yep.
I
And
think
there's
that's really cool that you're willing to stay authentic to a certain type of goal that you have with the channel, and the right people will find you. And I think that's
absolutely.
really important for a lot of. I know a lot of other resellers watch me, and I've said this a million times before in past videos, guys. Just stay authentic to whatever you're doing in the social media space, because the right people will find you. I mean,
Absolutely.
just keep it authentic.
I agree wholeheartedly. Absolutely.
Yes, yes. So I guess we're gonna kind of wrap it up. Keep it short and
Absolutely.
sweet
Yeah.
today for you guys. So I appreciate your input, and just as a side note, as being both of us being parents and having family life and stuff like that, to just kind of close out. What is, I guess, I know doing OA helps with that, right? Doing OA helps with being able to still have time for family and all of that. But you also do, I mean, YouTube is where, time,
Sure.
it's time. I've taken up 40 some minutes of your time already. So how do you kind of, do you give yourself days off? Do you like,
Right.
what does that look like for you, especially when you got a toddler? Because I don't know about you, but my toddler is just, he's
He's a handful.
toddlering. Okay.
I love him to death. It's a great question. I'm being honest, right? Some points when I have some free time and I, let's say, don't do work, I feel guilty. I'm like, oh, I should be doing this.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what's most important to me is I want to make sure that I'm a good father, right? And I'm a good
Mhm.
husband to my wife. And so, um, as long as whatever I'm doing is making my wife happy, is making sure my son's getting, you know, the best father figure he can have in his life. That's what matters to me. And Well, you know, I'll admit it. There's some times where it's like, you know, I have an hour or two of free time. I might just watch a few. I might just watch YouTube videos or something, right? I might just like
Mhm.
kind of
Sure, sure.
decompress and relax. And it
Yeah.
has been sometimes hard to like not feel guilty about doing that, but just know that okay, as long as I am, like I said, I'm meeting the priorities in my life, which is that being the best dad that I can be, I'm being the best husband that I can be. Everything else is gonna fall in.
Yeah,
We lost you.
sorry about
Okay,
that.
there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Really, the reason why I've continued with selling books and doing online arbitrage is so that I can, you know, increase our income so I can sort of buy back our time. And so
Sure.
I don't think I ever made this aware to you, but this is actually going to be my last year teaching. So I'm actually making the
Oh.
decision to step away from teaching at the end of this year. And there's a number of reasons for that. Mainly it's that what I prioritize most is the time with my family and the time with my
Sure.
son and my wife. And
Yeah.
so I've, you know, been blessed that over the last 7 years, I've been able to develop this into a full-time income, even though I don't necessarily do it full-time. It's been able to get to that point. But realizing that my son is getting close to 2 years old and, you know, he's going to go to
Mhm.
kindergarten, you know, when he's 5, and I'm not going to have that time back. I really want to be home and spend the time with him. So
Yeah.
why not stay at home, spend that time with him? And you know, I could always do this late at night. Like I said, normally I
Mhm.
source my inventory between, you know, 9:30 p.m., 10 p.m. to midnight, and that's because he goes to bed right
Wow.
around 9. And so I try to do as much of that work when he's asleep or he's not here, so that I can be more present and available for him. And
Mhm.
he's also potentially neurodivergent as well, which is fine. And I want to be there to support him, you know, with therapy
Yeah.
sessions. And so it's just everything comes back to like, you know, how can I spend the most quality time with my family, right? And
Mhm.
so this has allowed me to do that, and so that's why I'm continuing to do that. And yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for every
Yeah.
opportunity that book selling has given me.
Congrats. That's
Yeah,
exciting. That's
yeah,
really, really exciting.
I'm excited.
And it's funny that you say that because my dad, if you're watching, don't get mad. He's, I think, 62, gonna be 62. Uh, his birthday's in August, so he's either gonna be 62 or 63. And retirement is in the future
You know,
for him. And he's gotten excited about books with me. He's gotten excited
awesome.
about going to estate sales and finding things that he can flip. He comes from a carpentry background.
Cool.
He knows cars. He was a building inspector, skilled trades at Ford many years ago. So he's got a lot of knowledge that is really valuable. And he's probably one of my favorite sourcing buddies now
Awesome.
because he recognizes different things, different books, and so I think it's really exciting to be able to have that conversation with him and know that he has options after retirement. And I think
Right.
whether you decide to retire or transition to a different career type to be with your family, wherever you are in your life, I think it's really, really exciting and cool to have those options. Amazon, eBay, I mean, the internet's pretty powerful. So
Absolutely.
I think that's really, really exciting and really cool. So congrats, Joji. Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing that with us.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
really,
Thank
really,
you. Thank
really
you.
exciting.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, as a recap, we will have links again in the description of this video. Stay tuned. I know I haven't dropped a research video in a little while. We are going to be having a research video coming up. And stay tuned about the book conference. What you had a special name for it. What
It's
was it?
it's Books and Beyond.
Books and
Books and
Beyond. Yeah.
Beyond. Yeah. So you can
So
go to
Books and Beyond, I'll be posting about it sporadically leading up to September on
awesome.
the community page and on social media, stuff like that. So stay tuned, guys. And again, Joji, thank you so much for coming on the channel. I really, really appreciate it, and I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And we will see everyone in the next video.